Well, we are back with Real Talk and we have a special guest. I should actually
freeze the crowd. What's going on here?
So our Real Talk segment with Leonie and
Liv.
Cool. We're trying to really perfect that intro. But we also
you need to give me warning that we're going to do that because it's just so cringe every time we do it.
We're going to let people know who we are, but we have an addition. And it's Toneya.
Hey,
welcome.
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 Today. Thank you, everyone.
We are so excited. I can't even tell you the last time we've had someone, as a special guest in our Real Talk segment. Now, everyone listening, I had to bring Toneya on the show because I had a panic attack more recently when I just felt like my life was in disarray as far as watching my children eat chicken nuggets for the third night in a row, looking at my kitchen and going, there's just stuff everywhere. And I'm stressed about what I'm going to have for meals and all of that. And I thought, you know what, who do I lean on? And then I looked at Toneya and her perfect Instagram. And her perfect cupboards and her children eating, broccoli trees. And I'm like,
I think that's my love language. I'm so happy that you're here, Toneya, because well-ordered pantry cupboards is definitely the way to my heart.
Does something to me.
Does it really?
So it's your love language too.
Visuals are my thing.
Yes, I love that. Before we get into our topic, so that's the hot topic, everyone, but before we get into it, we've just had Halloween. How did we go, ladies?
I outsourced it.
What does that mean?
Am I not winning parenting?
Okay, all right.
I went to the theatre and went to go and see Tina Turner on the 31st of October because it's Halloween, and I booked it 12 months ago. In fact, who I went with was my mother's group. We all went so that we didn't have to walk around the neighbourhood trick-or-treating. The kids had a great time.
Yeah.
I didn't have to deal with the sugar high when they got home. Dad played his role, and that, my friends, is teamwork.
I think we've learnt a good, serious lesson here
So
today.
were you both traipsing around the neighbourhood?
Yes. What was it like for you, Toneya?
My thing this year was just let it go. Let it go, the fact that they're going to go to bed at midnight. Yeah. We're having sugar for
breakfast,
lunch,
dinner.
after school and dinner, and just if they're going to eat everything, let them do it.
Yeah.
And I did. And Temu and Amazon was my best friend this year.
Oh.
I got shamed by my kids last year for having no decorations. Majorly, major judgment from them. They were like, we don't have anything. Why does everyone have decorations? And I'm like, I better get my shit together. Yeah. So I did a big team of water, took, 8 months, and so it was good. It was good.
Because that's the thing. Does it take, if you're buying I haven't bought much on Amazon and things like that, does it take ages to get here?
No, it doesn't. It just depends. There's some stuff that you can pick that's next week or next day. So I did that, but they were big Halloween items that I wanted, big ghosts and big spiders, oversized things.
Your house must be was it the most visited house on the street?
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't even know. Poor Lockie was getting all these Google alerts. Someone at the door, but we're not even there. So, yeah.
That's the secret.
Yeah. So how early on are people putting up their decorations?
Oh, September.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
As soon as, especially where we're down on the peninsula in Mount Martha, and it's massive down there.
Is it really?
Massive down there. Is
that because there's lots of young families around? Or?
I think so. And I think because there's, especially around the schools, they kind of all commit to one street's just going to go ham on the decorations and the lights, and then that's kind of where everyone will go.
Yeah.
So, it was fun. It was lots of fun.
Yeah.
Especially going with school friends and stuff.
Yeah.
It makes you think I wish we had that opportunity when we were younger, because the kids froth for it. And it is such a nice sense of community. I know where I am as well, sort of the Campbell Hawthorne sort of area, even into South Yarra and things like that. There are certain streets that are very they really commit to the cause. And I think because those areas, particularly as you go a little bit further out, the Campbells and stuff, is it's so family oriented again. Mm-hmm. But it was so lovely when just looking at the streets, which is streamed with children with costumes, and also just watching people hand out lollies to your children. And there's just this sense of community that I don't feel we get often in this day and age. Do you feel that?
Not living in the city, I didn't feel it as much.
Yeah.
But now being there, it's everyone knows everyone. It's such a small community.
Right.
And something that I did notice this year that I loved is you know, when you go up, all the kids go up to someone's door and, you know, they've run out of lollies. There were some, like, beautiful older kids that were, like, giving their own lollies to the younger kids. Like, there was a lot of that.
Nice.
And I was like, that was really nice.
Yes.
There was no fighting over lollies.
Yeah.
It was just everyone had a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I thought, like, my daughter could have knocked someone out. She's a bit rogue, so...
Do you know what my absolute favourite is about Halloween, though, is watching the family dress up in a theme together.
Yes.
And every year there are just so many great examples of, like, all the Marvel characters, all the Addams family.
Yes.
I could put it out to the universe that might be something that the McPhee Holmes family do next year.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's so cute. At what point do the kids grow out of this? As you were saying that, I'm like, is it too cool for school when you're like 12 or
No,
do we know?
they were like 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
They were,
like, around.
okay.
Yeah, they were
Getting
heaps
amongst
of-
it.
Yeah,
That's nice.
They weren't fully dressed up. But they were, I
Just
think
walking the
it's
streets looking for
still-
trouble.
It's something to do.
Like, wait, what if they
honestly.
leave?
Yeah, we would have used that as exactly an excuse to
I'm
leave
going
the house.
trick-or-treating with the passion pop in the bag.
Yes.
Oh, I
How
love
was
it.
yours?
That's so good. Yeah, good. And like that's the thing. I think fundamentally, I kind of love that this American sort of tradition has hit our shores finally because it is so cute and inclusive. And similarly with the chocolates and the lollies, I'm like, yeah, you know what? And they were pretty good about it because they emptied their bags at the end of the day. And I'm going to say they, my boys did. And there's lollies everywhere. And I sort of scooped up as many as I could to sort of be
Good
like,
one.
we'll save some of these because I'm like, how many can you bloody
Yeah,
have in one
yeah.
sitting? And then they were so preoccupied by theirs. So we're going to be eating lollies till Christmas now.
Yeah, it's a bit like
that's what
Easter.
it is.
You get to Easter, then through to Halloween, get through that.
Yes.
Christmas.
No, I love that
Roll
for
the sugar
us.
bucket.
Totally. Well, talking about a really healthy lifestyle for our children. Which is certainly not an example of what we've experienced. What I want to know, this is my biggest pain point, Tonya, and you need to tell me and all the people, how do you, firstly, let's start with meal planning. So on a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever day you choose, how do you start thinking about what you want for the week? And I need you to talk me through this.
So I love a list, love a note, and love a shared notes with my husband.
Yeah.
So we've got a shared notes, and it's kind of that if he runs out of something or I run out of something, goes straight on the list. There's no like talking about it. We just do it straight away. So in terms of stuff getting low, we'll put it on the list straight away. But our thing is Friday or Saturday, I'll sit down and I'll start to think about, okay, what are we having for the week? And it'll always be my kind of theory, and it's generally works now, is like a chicken, a beef, a seafood, and a veg. That's
traditional.
Kind of,
Love
very.
that.
And
Love
it's easy because then it's like I am stuck. My thing is the Woolies app. I'm like a Woolies cult member.
Yes.
I don't go into the shops. I'm an online gal through and through. So the Woolies app is my best friend.
Yeah.
And what I love about the Woolies app is they've got the recipes in there, and then it also remembers what I previously shopped. So we spend the same thing every week. So the Friday I'll put all my meals down. It's always like a chicken and veg soup. It's always like my kids love Asian. We always cook Asian. Love like a garlic prawn. So we have like a whole mix of things, and then I'll shop to that. So that's kind of what I do. So I'll do the planning on a Friday or a Saturday.
Yep.
Saturday I'll make the booking with Woolies online, and then Sunday morning it's getting delivered, and that's kind of every week.
Do your kids eat what you eat?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not cooking separate things.
So if you're having a curry, your kids are having a curry?
100%.
And they'll eat it?
100%.
Wow.
What age are your kids, Tonya?
3 and 5. Well, 3.5 and 5.5. Yeah.
And have you operated like that they're eating the same thing?
100%.
Oh my God, where have I gone wrong?
Oh my God.
I think
I'm burying my head. We do,
I would say I'm 50-50.
Yeah, same. 50% they will eat of what we eat, and the other, like if I make a curry, no chance in hell are my kids eating it. But then...
Do you have dinner with your kids at the same... Is there a family dinner? Or?
Look, our jobs are like all over the shop, so it's very different. So I'll give you an example. The last 2 weeks, Lockie's, my husband, has been working nights, so he films during the day and he does a lot of night and dusk shoots, so he's getting home at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm eating with the kids at 5 o'clock, so that's fine, and then he'll have his meal in the fridge.
Yeah.
But let me say this, I'm not going to say it's all rainbows.
Yeah.
I will make something that they've asked for, like, example, like Sampa's always asking for, like, a stir fry, or like he loves a pho, and I'll make that.
Oh, bless him. That's so cute.
They just love it, like love it. And then I'll make it, and then they'll have a little bit, and then half an hour later, I want snacks.
Yeah.
Every time.
I get killed with the snacks as well.
This is the thing, I'm like, oh, do I just stick to my guns, no more food? And then I'm like, this thing in my mind going, are they going to be hungry? They're going to wake up at night.
Are they going to wake up at night? That's my biggest thing too.
So now I've just tried to push dinner out a little bit.
Yeah.
A little snack after school. And then they're not asking for the snack after. So I'm trying to like change it up. But look, I'm very much an intuitive eater, and I feel like my kids are the same. So if they're looking at something, they're like, I don't want to eat it. Yeah. Where I'm like, I get it, because if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to eat it. So I get that. Yeah. So I'll always ask them in the morning, this is what I'm making. How do you guys feel about it? Yeah. So they know that night that's what's happening.
And if they say, yuck, Mum, like my kids would. Yeah. Like my kids feel like, ew, what's this? Do you give it to them anyway? Are you...
Yeah,
or
probably.
Your kids
but like we're kind of doing definitely.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Get my kids to eat phone.
I know. I wish
it's like, who doesn't love like beautiful broth with like rice noodles and meat?
But it's my two sons, let me tell you.
Oh my God, but it's so yum.
Oh, it's so yum. But it's also like just the change in the palate. Like my kids haven't quite gotten into soups yet. It's the change of texture. It's the warmth. They're not quite there. Yeah. You know, even sushi. Like so many kids at school are having sushi. They don't like it. They're like, oh, yuck, seaweed in cold rice. Who's eating that?
Yeah.
Like, but I wish my kids did.
This notepad that you were talking about with your husband,
is
that digital?
Notes
on your phone?
Yeah, I'm not paper. Yeah.
And we share it, and you share it with each other if an update's been made.
Yeah. So he'll get a notification saying I've made an update to we call it Life Admin, and it's updates.
Okay.
How
it's just easy.
Actioning that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good hot tip.
Because then it's like there's no like this is just my job. Yes. Like yes, of course, I'll do the ordering online. Yeah. Yes, that's my job. Yeah. But like if he is got an area in his house, in the house that he does, which he does, he needs to be aware that, okay, we're running low on the laundry liquid, add it in. It's not my responsibility. We're both, taking responsibility there.
That's really good.
I would love your take on, I mean, a lot of the time we're ducking into Aldi because I find that the soy milk that my kids like is actually $1 less than Woolies and things like that. And if you've got tear through soy milk as much as my kids do, like it's like 10 cartons in like 1 week. So that all adds up. Do you find that there are still items that you're going elsewhere for?
No. I feel like when you throw Aldi and like the farmers market and Coles into the mix, it's too much for me and probably a little overwhelming where I'm like, I know what works for me. And it's like, if it's working and I'm going to save 50 cents, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I mean, I could, look, if we do need to get there, I could potentially do that. But because it's so efficient on the phone, and what I love about Woolies is it'll have like the half price items. I'm linked to my rewards. So my Qantas points is all linked in there. And I love that because then it's like double points. So I'll get the Tim Tams and I'll get the Vegemite. It's double points. So visually the fact that I can shop that like that, I stick to it. And as I said before, like we're shopping the same amount every week. I'm not generally going over. So I'd probably, Aldi I've heard is incredible, but I'd be too scared to go in there.
Yeah. You'd go rogue.
I'd be buying air fryers, new slippers. I'd probably buy a new cubby house. I can't control it.
And what I love about Tonya's house, Liv, is that like literally you open the pantry and it's like everything has a place.
I'm coming over.
It's like a magazine.
I am coming over. I want this
It's so refreshing. Like I feel zen in your house, Tonya. Everything has a place. And I just think there's something about that and your mental health that's going to help.
Yeah. Do your family adhere to the place? Like little kids, are their rooms similar? No doubt there is clutter and mess because let's face it, they're little kids and that's our life. But I'm sure that they're probably picking up some good habits
Definitely.
too.
Definitely. And as I said, I am a very visual person, that's part of having the ADHD is everything. That's how I learn. That's how I operate is visually. So for me, if I can have control of something, it's something that I can like visually maintain. And I can see that the rice is low because it's there in front of me. If it's in a packet, like I'll buy 8 rices. Like that for me. And again, it's just a thing of how the house works. Yes, my kids do adhere to it because that's all they've known. Like I haven't just all of a sudden had this like miracle change. We've always kind of been like that. And my husband is a bit OCD as well. So that helps. But when my mum comes over, she'll bring half a packet of spinach and bring a half-eaten hummus, or she'll bring like half a steak and I'm just throw it in the fridge. I'm like, who's eating this? Like, what are you doing with the spinach? And like my heart like races when she comes over because I'm like having like tics. So when she leaves, I'm like fixing it up.
I want to touch on the fact that when you did, particularly when you had your second child, and I think I saw this on Instagram or something, but you said like physically you just didn't feel nearly as healthy as you had for a number of years. You really just felt, and then from then on, you've been so incredibly disciplined around diet, around exercise, around self-care. I think it's so incredibly motivating to see that journey. I mean, now you're bloody radiating, girlfriend, but like it's amazing that over the last couple of years, you know, to see the leaps and bounds that you've made. Can you talk to us, particularly that for those people listening in going, yeah, I just don't feel like I'm my best self, but I also just don't have time and I'm eating the scraps of my kids' food and I'm, you know, not exercising on all those things and I feel perhaps I put on weight or whatever it looks like. Can you talk to us a little bit about your journey and therefore why you prioritise yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to also like the meal prepping, that kind of leads into that because for me, when I meal prep, I'm meal prepping all of our lunches for the week. I'm meal prepping all of our breakfasts. So for me, I know that day exactly what I'm eating. And again, like I've always been very up and down with my weight and I've always been quite obsessive around calorie counting, like very obsessive, which I haven't done that for a good 6 months, but knowing that I always know, okay, this is how many calories I should eat. This is how much protein in it. So in my mind, I don't do it anymore, but I cook to that. So in the fridge, I know how much I'm eating. So I can, that's again, one area that I can control. And I guess, you know what it's like having kids now, I can't control so much of them and their life, which kills me. But these are areas in my life that I do have control over and only I have control over them. So after I had Sloane, my second, I weighed more than my husband, which for me, I felt it was challenging. It was, 27 kilos up from what I was before I had kids. So yeah, it was really tough. It was during COVID. I had a lot of prenatal anxiety. I just was not feeling good. And look, honestly, it took me 2.5 years to lose weight, literally. Look, it took me, you know how people are like, lost 10 kilos in this fit as challenge in 8 weeks. I'm like, okay, cool. But it took me 2.5 years to lose that 20 kilos. And that's just been by like, yes, exactly, like consistency and discipline. But as I was saying the other day, obviously being a new thing is around the ADHD. I didn't realize how much ADHD and binge eating was linked. And I've just kind of worked that out now so I can have such a good understanding of my, that impulsivity and why I like to eat. So I'm medicated now, so it's really helped that food noise. For me, that was a massive one. So yeah, it's the best I've ever felt now, and I'm 3.5 years postpartum, but it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah, and you were saying when we were briefing for this episode, you were sort of saying that this ADHD diagnosis was more recent. Only, how long ago was it?
Only 6 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, so many people say like, doing all the right things. I'm exercising. I'm eating all the right foods. Like, that was me. Like, I would say to, like, the doctor, I am the healthiest person I know. I exercise more than my friends. How do I look like this and they look like that? I would say it all the time. They'd be like, oh, it's genetics. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, that's bullshit. Don't keep telling me it's genetics. And now I've, like, done so much research around it. I'm like, none of these people have this kind of self-talk and impulsivity and around food like I do. And that's because I have ADHD. So I have such a good understanding now of, like, I can just go to McDonald's and eat something. Before, I would be thinking about it all day. I'd be thinking about it all night. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the gym. I've got to go for a run. Like, it was so dangerous. Like, it's so dangerous. So
thinking about the food all the time.
Yeah, just obsessing over it. Like, it was awful. Like, I'm like, surely everyone does this, And then I talk to people, they're like, no, I don't have that. And I'm like, this is not normal. So when I got diagnosed, he was like, no, this is part of the ADHD and this is linked to binge eating, which is why, you know, you're bored, I eat, stressed, I eat. If I'm, like, overstimulated or if I'm out of control, I would eat. So now it's like I can just eat now and feel like everyone else, and it's just refreshing.
And just for those listening as well who might be like, oh, those are sort of things that I'm finding myself doing. What were the triggers, or what are the triggers for ADHD? Perhaps for those listening, it might be helpful for them too.
Look, doing some research, everyone is so different, and a lot of people would say to me, like, you don't have ADHD because you're so organised. Your pantry looks like that. Your fridge looks like that. Your house is immaculate. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine that you say that, but you don't know I am hyperactive and inattentive. So a lot of mine is up here. So a lot of it's like the self-talk and, you know, how I'm feeling. So it's not how I'm physically being. Like, I'm the most driven person. I'm super organised. Yes, I tick all of those boxes. If you're coming to my house, there will be food on the table. It will be immaculate. That's just how I am. But as I was saying before, that's something that I can control. So part of the ADHD is I have to control those certain areas, and being organised helps me stay in control. If they're not organised, if my house isn't clean, I feel out of control, which is something that I don't want to feel. And that's, like, you know, the kids screaming, like, really triggers me. So now, you know, obviously going through the diagnosis and being medicated, I can just kind of not respond, but just be okay with it rather than being like, this is really triggering me. So, yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing, because no doubt there are, many listeners.
I realised I don't even know what the question was.
Oh, no, that was perfect. No, you totally
good.
Answered it, yeah.
I can hear a lot of kindness towards yourself, Tonya, which I suspect at times you haven't been kind to yourself, but you've obviously done a lot of work to, bit of forgiveness and, you know, taking good care. Your brain and all of this self-talk, what are you doing to manage your own mental health now? I appreciate there's some medication in the picture, but are you doing what other strategies have you got?
So in terms of strategies, as I said, my husband and I have been together for 14 years. We've spent a good half of that doing self-development work, you know, going to America, doing these kind of things together, working a lot of, like, belief systems and past traumas, and we worked a lot of that, and a lot of that, you know, even going through that, all this stuff would come up about, food and how I felt about myself, and always, you know, feeling dumb and all those things, which was, now I realise, part of the ADHD. But I'm such a big believer on doing things that are going to make you better. And so we do regular couples counselling. I see a psychologist. We do that together as a couple. And a lot of people think, like, you know, do, you know, a couple sessions and we're fixed. Like, our thing is, like, we go every single month religiously, and we talk about our kids. We talk about what's going on at work. We talk about, like, everyday stresses and those things. We've just got that outlet to talk about them, which is really nice.
Good maintenance, right?
Yeah, I'm all about that. Like, I spend money on my hair, my skin, you know, Botox, all that stuff, but it's so, like, true. I want to stay in my marriage, and I want to be the best version of myself. So that's why I prioritize me. I exercise, I do all these things because I say to my husband, if I'm not here, you guys you're going to have no one. Like it's going to be, you're going to really struggle doing this if I'm not physically and mentally here.
Yes.
And the kids are going to struggle. So I'm very active in terms of, I can see, you know, my son struggling at school. I try to do something about it straight away because I want him to have that support that I didn't have growing up.
Yeah, I love that. I think this has been such a beautiful conversation, and thank you for being so open, as Liv said as well. If anyone listening wants to reach out for more information, by all means, hit us up in our DMs, and I will probably get a bit of advice from you, my Tonya. Were there, just as we wrap up, any resources that you found really supportive during, I guess, the diagnosis and all of that as well, and just even just from a mental health perspective? Is there anything you want to share with the listeners?
I would say there's so much talk about the, you know, disadvantages of like the social media, but for me, I see nothing but positive about it, purely because I'm not saying it can be dangerous, but a lot of my resources are sometimes Instagram or podcasts. So I follow a lot of doctors and psychologists and scientists on Instagram and get great little nuggets where I'll send them to my husband or my mum, and it'll give me that kind of pick me up. And that's kind of how I led to get the diagnosis. Is I saw, you know, other women talking about how they were feeling, and I was like, that is me. So yeah, honestly, I'm such a advocate for those platforms because I feel like people are using their voice to do great things now. Especially podcasts, and that's what I love about, you know, what you guys are doing. There's just so much space for it, and people have the time to listen to it now.
While multitasking,
while driving and doing it. Yeah, I love that.
No, 100%. Love that. Well, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Okay.